Hey guys, how's it going? Let's break it down in a very simple way how to find the right value for the vacant land you're working on. Alright guys, so I'm going to give you an example on a property that I was working on and just going to give you an example of how I found the correct value. What would the buyer pay for the property? Based on what the buyer can pay for the property is what I realized what I can offer for the property to the seller. I'm going to be using PropStream for all of this. The property is going to be in Poinciana, Florida, which is Central Florida. It's a developing neighborhood. And that's something you want to look out for. You kind of want to have properties, vacant lands, especially in developing neighborhoods if you can. Sometimes I have bought and sold properties in not the best developing neighborhoods. It could have been like retail properties. So let's say it was a vacant land that's good for mobile homes. I've sold to retail buyers in multiple occasions. Besides that, it could be just someone has a couple properties in that exact area that they very like it and that they just want to buy in that area more, so they might be interested. And that's when the bigger buyer list is important. But in general, you do want to be in a neighborhood that's developing. So you can see that this property right here was actually, it's the only vacant lot left because these two were sold, because you can tell this one was sold for $289,000. It means there was a property built on it and it's $289,000 right now. And this property down here was sold for $132,000, which I'm not exactly sure. I mean, that could be a vacant lot, it could be something else. The way to run comparables for a vacant lot, you have two different methods. The way to do it in PropStream, so you have the property right here, you have all the information, you go to comparable and nearby listings, and then you go to vacant land in property class. Okay, so then you see right here, there's a lot of vacant land that's being sold in the area. I come closer and here's where you have to be very careful. So sometimes new builds sold show up as a vacant lot in PropStream. So the lots don't go for $289,000, not at least in this neighborhood. So what it is that there was a new home built on that property and it was sold before PropStream realized that it's not a vacant lot anymore, that it's a house built on it. So it was something that was built and sold really quick, and PropStream didn't change it in their system yet. So you always have to look out for it and make sure that the prices make sense. Okay, so then you go further. So I do see this one that was on the same street that was sold for $13,000. We're gonna take a look at that one. I do see a couple on the street. So we have, for example, number 6. I have number 9 and number 10 and 11. My favorite comp in this area will be the number 4 because it's the same exact street. This was purchased in August so about a year ago at this point. They bought it for $13,000. I know this neighborhood enough to tell you that that's a really good price. They got the property for a really good price. Here's something that you need to keep in mind when you look at property values. So let's say a wholesaler got that property under contract with the seller for $13,000. And let's say they put $7,000 on top of it and they sold it to an investor for $20,000. The thing about that, the extra $7,000 is not gonna show up on the records. The $7,000, the assignment fee, is something that you agree between you and the buyer, is that doesn't have to show up on the records. So the only thing that will show up is the original purchase price. So when you see something bought for $13,000, and if it's an LLC that bought it, there is a chance that a wholesaler brought it to them. I'm not saying that's always going to be the case, but there is a chance that a wholesaler brought it to them and that they paid them an assignment fee that didn't show up on the record. So $13,000, good price. Let's say if it was a wholesale, let's say, maybe up to 20 max, that's something they paid for. They could pay more, but I'm just, I'm trying to be realistic. Then look at this one. So I don't really like this comparable that much because if you really look at it, even though it's kind of all the same neighborhood, but it's a little bit of a different neighborhood, I guess. So it's like this entire thing is almost one big neighborhood. It's called Poinciana Villages. I know it, you will know it when you start working on something. And I can tell that this lot right here is just a little bit to the side. Still being the same neighborhood, we can still run it as a comparable. You want to have at least 3-4 comparables to kind of get an idea. So this one sold for $18,000 later on in that year. And again, bought by an LLC. So again, it could be an assignment fee, so I'm looking like 20, 25, maybe, in that price range. Look at this one. This was sold for $35,000. Also, kind of close to the other lot, because the other lot was right here, the one that just sold for $18,000. So this one sold for 35. I mean, there's not, with the new development, it's kind of hard because a lot of times if the price makes sense for the buyer and if they know, if they have a particular thing they're going to be working on, they may pay a little more for the land. So we got this one for 35 and we got this one for 32. And this lot is actually also not, because our lot that we're working on is right here. And this particular lot is just up the street right here. So it's still pretty close. So this one was sold for $32,000. So that gives us an idea that I think lots in this area go anywhere between $20,000 to $35,000. It's a wide range, unfortunately. I mean, we can even narrow it down for between 25 to 35, just because the way that prices have been going up this year so far. You know, you can kind of add that to it. So you got the price between 25 to 35. My ideal price to get this property under contract for, I want to say up to 20. Anything over $20,000, there's a chance I'm not going to be able to find a buyer for it, because I'm looking at the bare minimum. So let's say if I only sell for $25,000, you know, if I have a property under contract for 25 and the buyer wants to pay 25, I'm not going to be able to do anything about it. So that's how you run comparables based on the value of other vacant lots sold in the area. But there's also a different way to do it. The other way of doing comparables for vacant lots is that taking 10 to 15% of what the new construction cost in the area, as to like what new construction sells for in the area. So remember guys, right here when we were looking at, and I said, hey, this is not a vacant lot that sold for $289. That's, you know, that's probably, it was a house that was just built on it. $289,000. If you take 10% of that, that's gonna be $28,900, so $29,000, okay? So you got $29,000, 10% value. So when I was talking to you guys that I think somewhere in between 25 to 35 price range, that 29 falls right in between. So that's what the buyer wants to pay for the property. A lot of builders have that price in their mind as to 10-15% max. 15 is even pushing it, to be honest. So 10 is what they would like to stay at. 10% of what the end value of the new build is going to be. So when you look at it, that just kind of gives you an idea. So let's say a vacant, like, you know, you can build a $500,000 house on it and your seller wants $100,000. You just have to understand that most likely that's not going to be a deal. There are situations that could still be a deal. So I don't give up on any situation like that until I try multiple times. But you know, I wouldn't have my hopes up if I was dealing with something like that. But that's pretty much it. Proption makes comparing so simple, so easy. So for me, even if you're comparing land, if you're comparing houses, everything like that, there's most of the information you can find here. All right guys, I appreciate you tuning into this video. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. That really supports the channel. I really do appreciate it. And as always guys,